At with Crafty Meggy and Hannah. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I am Crafty Meggy, and my name is Megan. And I've been around for, oh gosh, what, 10 years now? 11, almost 11 years. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And I'm on YouTube and Instagram as Crafty Meggy, and Facebook, I think I'm on as Crafty. Well, I guess I'm Meggy Paulos on Facebook. So you can come find me on social media there. But,
How would you
yeah.
describe your scrapbooking? Just so everybody knows.
I'm more of a traditional scrapbooker, like traditional, clean lines, very just simple.
And I am Hannah. I started scrapbooking in 2015, maybe? But I started my scrapbook. I've been around for over 10 years.
2014.
It might have been 2014. I started scrapbooking a little bit after you, Megan. So I've had my channel in August for 10 years. But I did take a small break. And I am on YouTube as Hannah Lopez, I believe now. I think I changed that. And I used to be Hannah Lemieux, if anybody is confused. That was the old Hannah, and here's the new Hannah. But she's still the same, and she still loves crafting, and I'm still spicy, and I still talk a lot, and I drink a lot of coffee still. It's my downfall and my superpower. I also I'm Dandelion 2002 on Instagram, so you can find me there. I think I'm also on Twitter, but I don't. Or X, I guess we're calling it X now, right? But I don't really go on there, and I'm on Pinterest too, so you can find stuff on Pinterest. And I would say my scrapbooking style is Hannah. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. Except for I love messy, and I just go with whatever feels right. And it seems to work. So I definitely have gotten a little bit cleaner, more open spaces as I've went along this journey. Because you kind of have to find yourself when you're scrapbooking. But anyway, enough with the introductions. If you guys are older in the community, you will know that I started the Crafty Maven Getaway. That might have been in 2015 or 16.
Yeah, I don't
No, I think it was 2015. So I started the Crafty Maven Getaway with the help of Megan, by the way. She was right there behind me, and we were talking it up. And actually, that's kind of how we got started. I didn't realize this was going to be an introduction episode, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because we are winging it, just so you guys know. We are so winging it, because that's what we do best. And so we were on Scrap.
SNL.
Yeah, SNL. I was going to say Scrap
SNL.
Your Stash, but that's not what it was
No.
it? But anyway, it was all about scraps, basically, and using your stash. And we were put together. That's when Oh Snap Gonzo, Sandy, and Lisa, who I seen in a group the other day, and I was like, whoo, she's not been around, and I miss her. Anyway, so they started it, and then they gave it to, but I don't think were they in charge when you got in? I don't think they were either, but they were still kind of semi-attached to it, I think, when we were in there. And Carla, see,
yes.
this is where we're going back in Hannah's memory. Let's see how it was a long time ago, because it was 10 years. Megan, it was 10 years ago, because it was when we were. I was in Hawaii. You were in your first the one house before you bought a new house.
I was
before,
that's right.
After I moved and bought a house.
Yeah.
And so Carla was in charge, and then Carla kind of did she step, I don't remember exactly what happened. If she stepped away and we didn't really keep it, but we knew it was ending and we had worked together. And so that's kind of how we started chit-chatting, right? Yeah. And then it was like, we need more. We need more in this community. And honestly, that was like the prime time of scrapbooky stuff on YouTube. Yeah. Like, it was like the coolest time to be so it's so weird because I don't feel like we're pioneers, but honestly, Megan, we are pioneers. We are pioneers. It's like, I know that there was other women who were part, because I know I started scrapbooking because I had found Mercy Tira because I was making an album for my daughter. And so I started binge watching her, but then, you know, YouTube starts showing you other stuff, and it started showing me Sandy's stuff and Lisa's stuff, and what's her name? She doesn't do stuff anymore, I don't think, but she...
I don't know who you're talking about.
I know you don't. She was kind of, once we started getting in there, she stopped. I don't know if she had to have a job. I want to say she was a teacher, but she started having kids too. And I think that was probably part of it. Sometimes having little kids makes it easier to scrapbook, but sometimes it makes it harder. So, I could understand if like you had been scrapbooking your whole life and having kids could put a wrench in that, because you definitely don't have the time that you did before.
Well, that's kind of like what I did. I mean, because I started scrapbooking when I was like 14 or 15.
Okay.
It wasn't really super huge for me until I think I started doing YouTube. Like, it wasn't really, really big. Like, I used to like it. I used to do it, you know, as a teenager, but I don't know. Life isn't all about scrapbooking when you're a teenager.
No, it surely isn't. So I actually made an album where I put stickers in it. If we're considering that scrapbooking, then I definitely was scrapbooking in high school or college time, but I didn't continue doing it. I just had one album that I put some fun stuff in. And I didn't even know about scrapbooking. And really, I started scrapbooking to make my daughter's album, and I started watching stuff. And I remember they did a really big hop. So, why I remember this, I don't know. But they did a really big hop, and I remember a whole bunch of them, especially Sandy and Lisa, were like, if you're thinking about scrapbooking and you doing YouTube, just do it. Just do it. And you know, I was so inspired by seeing everybody's stuff, because I started to scraplifting from scrapbook.com. Right? Yeah. And it was definitely a lot of 2-pagers and using sketches, which is no problem whatsoever, right? I mean, especially you've done a lot of sketches.
Oh, I do a lot of sketches, yeah.
And it was a really good place to start, because I had no idea whatsoever, and then I just fell in love with it, and I was like, I gotta do a YouTube channel too. I had no idea what I was doing, but I tried out for I tried out for a design team. It was
did you?
I think it was a sketch one. And I wasn't super serious, but I remember trying out for it because I was like, hey, you never know. And I don't even think I got a response back, which is fine. But then I started doing, so I think when I did that, I started doing the YouTube channel, and I just figured out a way to get my camera going. I didn't let anything stop me. And so if you go back on my channel, which please don't tell me you did, because I don't want to know. I don't want to go back on my channel. Right. But if you just happen to go back on my channel, you will see this progression of somebody who really didn't know what they were doing to I know what I'm doing now. I found who I am as a scrapbooker, which is so fun. But anyway, that is not really what we're here to talk about today. So
it's okay.
We are here to talk about goals and New Year resolutions within scrapbooking. And I thought that this would be a really good topic because it's the beginning of the year. A lot of people are coming out, and, you know, we just have all these plans and we want to change things. We want to make our lives better and all this stuff. And I thought it would be just really fun to start off the year with, like, what are our intentions for the year? What are our goals? How do we go about doing all that? And so one of the things I know, I posted it online, and I just want to say this for everyone, that this is not just a chat with me and Megan, even though we're the ones talking right now. We really want to hear from you guys. We want you guys to be part of the conversation, because that is how we grow as scrapbookers and this is the thing I love about our community. And I think this is why once I got in and I jumped in, it was like, they weren't letting me out. and all you guys who let me take a 3-year break, you got some explaining to do. But anyway, it's okay.
I've been there. I've been telling you to come back.
I know. I had to do it. I had to figure it out on my own. And I get that. But with that said, this is like, we really want this conversation. We want the community together. And I know, we're joking around about being pioneers. And I guess we kind of are in a lot of ways. I mean, excuse me. I remember when Jen Scow. Oh my, no.
Jen Scow.
Yeah. Started her channel, and then Victoria started her channel. Like, we were before Victoria. And look at where she's come. But anyway.
No.
It's like, we got to see all these, like, really cool people, like, kind of find their place and then, like, take it back. And so, but, one of the things that helped us grow, all of us, is by having these conversations. I know I grew, earlier on, I was listening to the paper clipping roundtable. I'm sure you were. And then there were scrap gals. And it's like, I really feel like right now that we could use that inspiration again. And I say that knowing I haven't really been in the mix, swimming in the pond with everybody for the last 3 years. But I think that's one thing that I was craving when I left, is that me and you had a group of, like, close-knit friends. Of course, now we're not so close-knit anymore because some of us kind of did our own thing. And I know Christy took a break for a little while. I don't know if you knew that. She took a break for a while, too. Yeah. And so I just feel like there's something in a lot of us who, like, kind of have struggled in this, and I feel like I'm one of the peeps, I don't feel like I'm like this big designer, or, it's like, even though I've walked alongside some of them in some ways on maybe a short scale, it's like, but I still feel like just one of the normal scrapbookers. And so I feel like there's just something about that, about us kind of like connecting and having a place at the table, because we all have a place at the table, at the scrapbooking table. We all do. It doesn't matter how you scrap, what style you do. We all have this place, and we all grow and learn from each other. And so I want all of you guys to just join in the comments, and I want you guys to be interactive. I want you guys to tell us things that you want to hear. I want you to tell us who you want to see on here, because one of our talking about goals, one of my goals is hoping that we can have some other people join in the mix so we can have these conversations and talk about different topics. Because the things that we were talking about when we did this a few years, 4 or 5 years ago, wow. Yeah. 6 years ago, whew, are different. We're in whole different places. So, starting this year, let's see. I'm trying to think if I want to just start off with the questions. What do you think, Megan, as I'm just chit-chatting away here?
Well, why don't we start talking about our goals?
Our personal goals. Okay. I think that's a great one.
Kind of already mentioned that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so Megan, what are your goals for 2025? This doesn't necessarily have to just be scrapbooking. But I want to rely more on the scrapbooking aspect of it, because that's the table that we're sitting at.
Yeah, that's the table. Well, so first off, I kind of just want to kind of address, like, the reason why I guess I picked these goals. I guess
Okay.
maybe
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
I want to start. So you've been talking about how we're in completely different situations than we were a couple years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
I know on my YouTube channel, I've kind of talked about that, how my life has completely changed. I'm with a new partner. I'm in a completely different time of my life. And I think my goals this year really reflect that. Like last year, I was kind of in a place where I needed to find myself. And I think I'm still in that place. But at last year, I was living in an apartment away from my partner. And so I had the spare time to be away and to take that time for myself. Whereas this year, I've moved back into my home with my partner. And so now I'm working on my relationship with my partner and then also her kids. And so, like, a lot of my goals kind of reflect that new life, like that new
Mm-hmm.
I moved back in, and how can I make myself better this year because last year was really hard. And so my first goal doesn't have anything to do with scrapbooking. So sorry, Hannah.
No,
I
no, no.
completely
I love
ignoring
to
you.
hear your non-scrapbooky goals too. I mean, of course, I know we're best friends and we talk about a lot of non-scrapbooky
Yes.
stuff probably a majority of the time, which is why I'm really excited that we're doing this again because I feel like we've missed that element of
We
encouraging
have,
each
yeah.
other. But that's besides the point because I still love to hear about the other stuff. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
what friends are for,
totally.
right? To just
Right.
hear.
Well, and I think I've already told you all of my goals, but anyway, so number one, I don't know if you guys have heard of Mel Robbins, but she is a popular podcaster, kind of self-helper right now, and she just came out with the book called The Let Them Theory, and I have totally latched on. I haven't read the book yet, but I've totally latched onto that theory, and I listened to a podcast that she was on, and she kind of explained it a little bit. But I want to use that theory. That's actually like my phrase of the year is let them. Because coming from my marriage, my 20-year marriage, I'm now, in a different relationship. I'm divorced. And my ex was really, really controlling. And I have kind of, in my new life, taken on that role, which is really weird because I'm really not a controlling person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like because I don't have him in my life anymore, it's like I've taken on that role because I had it for so long. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
It's weird.
I think sometimes we get comfortable in the habits that we've had, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with, I say control, like a routine. I think about routine, right? A lot of the kids that I work with, my own kids, especially little kids,
Yeah.
right, do so well with routine and with a good, solid schedule and like mentality, right? But that can become so controlling, like especially as a parent, right? You have to control that for your kids because they don't know it yet, so they have to learn it. And how do they learn it? By seeing you show it by example. And I think
Right.
that, like, there's a stability, oh my gosh, I can't talk, in knowing that, things, how things are going to work and how things are going to go, right? And then also when life is so chaotic, like you're reaching for things to control
Mm-hmm.
because that's like you need something to like ground yourself, right? So
Right.
I can see where, like, you learn these weird habits, and so you just, like, without even thinking about it because you've lived with it so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of move in that direction, even though that's
Yep.
not where you meant to go. The train just went in a whole different direction.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And that's so true. Like I'm just kind of grasping at straws, like trying to control something in my life because it's kind of been so out of control. And so my first goal is just to use the phrase let them. So, and it doesn't just work in my home life, it's going to be just like I want to focus on it in all my life. Because, like
Mm-hmm.
at work, just driving my car, like trying to be less angry just overall. and less controlling, just overall. I want to focus on just loving more, being more open, and just kind of letting things go.
Yeah.
And I've ever since I've decided that let them is going to be my phrase for the year, like I felt like a huge lift, like burdens had been lifted, like just let things go.
Yeah.
Because I've just been trying to control everything in my life, and it's just like, but that doesn't help. It kind of makes things worse.
It creates like this anxiety, in you, because you're like, you're holding on. I've heard the phrase, whatever, like when you hold on to something, it's like so tight, like there's like no movement in it, but then when you open up your hand and you let it, like it comes out. So I can totally see where like that just lifted, because you're like, okay, I'm not going to give this more credence and more power than it needs to have, and just like
exactly the word power is like I have my own power, like I need to take hold of my power and just use it for me, like the word power, like I don't know, when I was listening to the podcast, that was one of the words that was just like, whoa, like I have power, and if I let other people just be themselves, I have my own power. I can do my own thing. I don't have to even react, like it's kind of like freeing, like, whoa.
Right? It's so weird how like something that like maybe you've heard it in other contexts, but maybe not that same wording or phrasing. And then you like, but you're in a different season and you hear it again and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed for right now. And it's just, and like you said, it's just so freeing. And so, and you realize the power that you have just with understanding, because that's the season that you needed to hear that in, It's so weird, the path that we go as we grow as people.
Oh, it is. I know. Well, and I think I've become more aware over the last two-ish, almost 3-ish years, like, whoa, like just the difference of me in the world and how when I react, like other people react around me, like I actually do affect other people. And like if I'm angry, everybody else is going to be angry, like everybody, it's going to affect everybody around me. And so I guess it's more like just let people be themselves, and then I can do me. I can just concentrate on me. So basically just let everything go, kind of, and just enjoy my life, really, is my first goal. Just let go of the control and just be free. So, which I think it's going to be hard, like, because we're only like 3 weeks into it,
right?
And
the
already first, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like,
well, and it's so like hard. When you decide that this is how you're going to live something, right? Like, you always get tested in that. It's like, okay, so you said did you really mean what you said? And so you have to practice it. And it's like, it's hard. It's hard work practicing the things that you really want in life, or the way that you want to be, right? Especially when it comes to like your own personality. Because it's like you're not just fighting, you're fighting habits, you're fighting just like part of who you are. So it's like you have to figure out how let them be is for you, how it looks for you, not how it looks for, like, if I were to take that on, it's going to look completely different, because we are different people, and you have to account for your own personality. But part of it is like, well, what part of my personality needs to change? What part of my habits need to change? What parts do I need to keep close and foster, too? So it's like there's that whole learning experience that you get tested in it, and you have to practice it. And like you said, it's just the beginning of the year, and like we have a tendency, especially I feel like in America, like things are quite easy overall. That doesn't mean we each live an easy life, but it's really easy to go, oh, I want to do this, and then like we get kind of bored, because it is so easy.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
we let go of the habits that we were trying to build, and forgetting that like it takes a long time to build a habit like that it is lasting change, you know?
Oh, it does. It does. And that's kind of another, I mean, not really specific goal, but within that goal of just letting go of control is I am going to counseling and just continuously checking in with myself and my
Mm-hmm.
counselor and working on those things. And I'm totally going to challenge myself to do this every week. Like, check in with
Yeah.
myself, with my counselor. Like, and I think having somebody that can help your accountability makes it easy or
Yeah.
easier,
Yeah,
like,
especially when that person is not someone who is your best friend or your partner,
exactly.
or your
Yes.
kids. Like, as much as that's nice having that aspect built into your structure,
Oh, yes.
however that looks, right? It's
Yeah.
hard because that's a lot of weight for them to hold too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know in my own life, I've realized like I'm only accountable for myself. And if I let myself be accountable for someone else, like then how are they going to learn too, you know? And then what am I
Right.
like how much am I really helping? Because we all have our biases, and like we do know how to push each other's buttons, and like sometimes we think someone needs to change for a certain way, but like we just don't, we're not in their heads either, you know? So it's like as much as your best friend or your partner knows you, they don't
Mm-hmm.
know every little detail in your head, you
Yeah.
know? Or I don't want to say they shouldn't, but there is something to like keeping some stuff to yourself that they don't need, like how
Yeah.
if it's not going to be positive for them or create change, like you know, do they need to
What's the
know
point?
that you don't like
Yeah.
that they fold the towels wrong, the wrong way? Or, you know, do they need to know that you're just going to,
Yes.
I don't know, do it your way because that's
That is
how it
a
is?
very
I
good
don't know.
point.
Like there's certain
That
things
is.
that, you know, it's okay. And I'm not saying like that it's a secret, right? Or anything like that. It's just, that's what counseling has taught me, is that like not everything that pops in my head do I need to say out loud, even though that is a very hard thing for me because I
Yes.
often have
Well,
to
I think
say,
that's a hard. I think it's a hard thing for a lot of people. Like, I like at work. I was just thinking about like some people that come in and just share everything about their lives, and it's like, okay, wow, I didn't need to know all of that. Like,
yeah, right.
you know.
Well, and we live in a society right now that is all about sharing and being
Oh,
authentic,
that is true.
but it's like this fake authenticity in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And some of it, and I know we had a conversation before we actually filmed because that's what we do. And some of it is you're like we're not aware that
Yeah.
we're not being as authentic as we could because we put
Mm-hmm.
on a face for so long for certain things.
Yeah.
But
True.
some of it is just like that's the culture. Is like everybody gets out their phone and like, oh, you can't believe what happened to me at the store. Can you believe what this lady online told me? It's like we just can't. One, we can't let them be, right? We
Yeah. No,
can't
we
let it
can't.
go,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
we have to share, and it create sometimes it can create chaos instead of create
Yeah.
order. Which I mean, you know it's part of navigating life, but I
Yeah.
think as I've gotten older, just realizing, yeah, like, oh, I don't have to say that, or maybe it's better or wiser. And I have this at work a lot because I work with people from not this culture and not this country, and so like I've spent a lot of time being quiet and listening because what I have to say is in the grand scheme of things, does it really change? Is it really helpful? And instead of talking just to get my side or my view out, it's better to learn, to just listen and learn,
Yeah. And
right?
that
And
is great.
see
Yeah.
like where are they coming from? It's like I don't have to come from where they came from, or I don't have to be in the same season in their life to just listen and try to understand where they're coming from. And I know not all of us can do that, and we all do it differently in different seasons and for different reasons, and that's okay. But
right.
But I love that your main goal, is to just better your life, because I think that, like, when we're working on ourselves and then we come to the scrapbooking table, I feel like we can tell our stories better, right? We're not like clouded in all the chaos that's in our head. I know that was one of the hardest parts for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped scrapbooking is because there was so much that I was working through and working out, and I wasn't ready to tell my story. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, I'm still not ready to tell a lot of my story, because I don't know. I don't know if my story is real. Yeah. Like, maybe it's part of me is like, yeah, it's a big thing. And I've kind of liked having the ability to just be quiet a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe I'm learning.
Which is kind of
my husband might not agree with that, but no, I was just going to say, my husband probably wouldn't agree with that, but he knows I talk. With that said, he also talks too. So it's like he comes home from work after 12 hours of not talking with people because he was working on machines, and he's a chatterbox. I'm like, dude, it's 6:30 in the morning and I'm still waking up. I haven't had my coffee yet. But anyway, that's a whole other different thing. But I just had there was so much going on here that it like really blocked what I could do on a page. I would just sit there and I'm like, well, I'm not getting anything out of this. This is not productive. And so I put stuff away, and I mean, maybe I shouldn't have, whatever. Sometimes we realize after we've been gone from something that we love for so long, like, why did we stop? But I feel like it's also created this love that I forgot I had, and it's almost like redoing it from the beginning again, which is like something I didn't expect to get this re-spark. And I mean, the conversations that you and I have had just over Voxer for hours and hours. I mean, we would talk for hours about scrapbooking a day, because we knew our husbands didn't want to hear about it, or maybe we didn't want to tell them all about it at different points, right? But it's like we were so in it. Like, that's all we could talk about. But it inspired us so much, and it's like I kind of forgot like how inspiring that was. And so, yeah. Anyway, keep going with your goals.
Go off track again.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is just to let people be themselves. Let them act how they want to, and then I can act for myself and just be myself and love myself and love. Number 2 does have to do with scrapbooking. So number 2 is to scrapbook more. And mainly I just want to be creative more. I think I was kind of thinking about it today, and I was even just thinking, like, even if I'm doing just painting or drawing or something, because I really have this urge to learn how to draw and to paint and just put colors on a page, even if it's not just scrapbooking. Like, I just want to be more creative. And I did make a goal within that to make 50 layouts this year, which is a lot of layouts, because lately I've been doing, like, I think last year maybe I might have made 10 layouts. And so I kind of wanted to up it, just because I want to give myself that, like, inspiration, kind of motivation, like, okay, I'm going to do this,
Yep.
Get going, Megan. Like, don't just sit back and not do it.
I know. I hear your goals because we've been talking about it throughout the week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, you're just like shooting for the stars. And I'm like, in some ways it gives me anxiety because I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's a lot. That's like way more than you've been doing. And I'm like, how is she gonna do it? But then I realized, you know what? Just because it's your goal doesn't mean it needs to be my goal.
Let me do it, Hannah.
Right? No, I'm gonna let you do it, and I'm gonna rub it in your face when you didn't get it done.
I know when I
because that's what a good bestie does, right? I mean, it'd be like, hey, you said you were gonna do this many.
Yeah.
And by the way, with that said, how many layouts have you posted on your YouTube channel? Not that matters. Okay, but how many layouts have you made this year?
Okay,
let's start with that.
I haven't posted any this year.
Okay.
But I went to a crop this last weekend, so I made 8 layouts.
Ooh, that's more than me.
Yeah. So.
But I didn't have a number either because I knew if I gave myself a number, that might be a little too much for me.
Well, and I don't feel like you've ever really been a number person.
No.
Like, you've never really set a number goal.
No, and we'll get to that as we get to our own style of, like, goal setting type stuff. But, yeah. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So then goal number 3 is to do a date night once a week, which is, I mean, actually, my partner and I actually... we sometimes are really good at going on dates and sometimes we're really bad. Like, we'll be like, wait a minute, like, why are we not connected? Like, why are we fighting
why are we fighting all the time?
I know.
Right.
Oh, we haven't gone on a date in like 2, 3, 4 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and with the holidays, it's really hard because you're like, everything you're doing like with the family or you're trying to get stuff done and so it was really hard during like November and December to like just be able to go out. And so now like we just had a date this week and it was just a really quick lunch date at my work. Ashley came and stayed at my work and we just ate lunch. And it was amazing. And like, I'm like, oh my God, like that's all we needed. Just to have a simple date.
When you're a quality time person, you know, nothing is more rejuvenating than, you know, setting that time aside and actually just having quality time. It, like you said, it doesn't even have to be very long, you know, but being intentional about it is super important.
Well, and I think I forget a lot of the times that I am a quality time person, you know, because I do like to have my alone time and I do like to have family time. And, you know, so I kind of forget that quality time is my love language in my relationship. Yeah. And so it's just like, but I'm always with her, you know, when I'm doing all these other things. So it's like, I'm getting that time, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, no, not really. Yeah. So working on trying to make those more meaningful and just taking the time to get that quality time in. And then my last one is to do more things around the house. My partner and I have been kind of relying on the kids a lot lately just because of our emotional, you know, needs and like stuff. So like both her and I kind of have talked about doing more around the house with the kids, you know, like chores wise and kind of just making sure that we're doing our housekeeping duties. 'Cause I mean, we're parents, like, we kind of slack sometimes, and we forget, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing this, you know, like, because we have all these other duties on top of, you know, housekeeping. And so, like, that's one of my other things, like, because I really do like to have a clean home. And so I want to show the kids that, like, I can do it, too, and I want to be a good example. And that's kind of part of, like, that bettering myself, too, is, like, showing the kids that it's not just up to them, you know? It's up to everybody in the house. Yeah. So those are my 4 goals.
I think those are pretty good, right? I mean, a little bit of everything, or a little bit in different areas to be well-rounded, right? I mean...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, as far as my goals, let's see... I did not write any of my answers down.
Did you write anything
down?
I
did not. I came up with all the questions, Megan.
I know, you did.
That was what I contributed. No, I figured I'd just say it like now because there's not really a lot. So one of the things that I've had a big problem with this past year is being really sick, and it's kind of really affected my mental health. But as I got talking with my husband, I realized like the element that was missing is the creative part. And I think over the years because I was doing other things that filled different voids in my life or filled different needs in my life, I didn't realize like how much the crafting part was and the creative part was something that I still needed to pour into. And just because I've been so sick and kind of having to go through a different journey with my health, I realized that there was a part of me that I left behind in all of the other work that it's like I was so focused on doing therapy and doing lots of work for myself and then being in a new relationship and then, growing into a family, situation with him joining my kids and I. And so like I just forgot about that part of me. And it's a big part of me, and I think it's a big part of how I can express myself and be me. And not to say that I can't do that in other aspects of my life, but like especially with working, that has been it's so hard because I love my job in certain ways because like the kids really bring a smile to my face. The one girl, the sister, is like, she smiles and she'll come over and she'll see what I'm doing. And it's like she's saying hi. She can't talk. She doesn't say any or barely any words. She knows how to say no now and go. So that's super fun. But it's a lot. It's a lot like mentally. And because of all my health problems, like it's a lot. And like, I just felt so overwhelmed. And like, my husband was like, dude, like, you gotta get your shit together. He's like, I don't know where the person I married is, but she's going. And he made me make a list. And let me tell you, it reminded me of scrapbooking because I realized I hate making lists. I hated making lists when I was on teams. Yeah. Like, I just wanted to get in there and be like, I'm just so free. Like, my parents, they used to be like, oh, she's our free spirit. I'm like very hippie-ish without being hippie. And that's how I like very much approach things. And that's how I kind of approach life. But it's like I just realized like I needed to put in time for things that like I can handle, right? It's like I was feeling so overwhelmed, and instead of saying, oh, let me control what I can control, I was like, whatever, I'll just leave my hands all open. So it's so funny how like you have to open your hand, and I kind of have to close my hand and say, okay, what do I have the energy for? What is most important? And I realized crafting needed to be higher up on the hierarchy of things, and working on being consistent in like how I parent with my kids, because that's one thing that I've kind of like, when you're not feeling well, you don't really want to do a lot of parenting. And in my relationship, it works really well for me to be the main parent, because of past traumas with my husband, and also I deal with the kids more because I'm home more. And so it's like and they're my kids, and I want to prepare them, and I realize like I'm not doing everything that I can to prepare them. And not that I'm like being a bad parent. It's just I could be better, and I just need to put that effort, because like you're saying, I need to show them how to do it instead of telling them how to do it. And I thought I could just tell them, because like I don't have the energy to show you, but I have to show them sometimes. So, and be that example. And so that's one of my big things for this year, is just stepping up in areas that I need to step up in, and stepping down in areas that I don't need to. And sometimes that means not doing so much work at home. It's like, I don't care. It's like, I can't do that many hours with how my illness is right now. Like, I can't work full time. I can't work even almost part time. I can't work. It's frustrating because it's like I want to go somewhere, but like I have to crawl, and I need to be okay with that. And I think that's where like crafting kind of comes back in, is going, okay, I can do things my pace. I can express myself. I can get those frustrations out. I can get the strength to do the other hard things in my life that I have to do, because I need to work right now. Where, it's like we don't have all the plans out so that I can stay at home and just scrapbook all day, which I would absolutely love to do and be okay with. And I'm sure if I said, my mental health is so bad that I need to stay, I'm sure I could convince him, but would that be fair? No. And, so it's like for right now, we're going to ease our way into things. Not to say that, it's like who knows what next year will bring. Who knows what 6 months will bring. But I can tell you my mental health, even just in the few weeks that I've been intentional, because I think that was my problem before, is like I've scrapbooked a little bit or I bought a few things, but I was not intentional about putting time in at my desk, getting things ready, sharing, being in the community, because honestly, a lot of it is being in the community. I've been kind of trolling around. I say trolling, not like that's a bad thing. I've been sitting on the sidelines in the group, seeing what's going on, interacting a little bit here and there. And because it's like, that's one thing that I did enjoy about my time away, is that I could just put my phone away. I didn't have to worry about texting people. And so now I'm really bad at messaging. So anybody who messages me, I am very sorry. I'm probably not going to get back to you that day unless you're Megan. And even then, I might not get back to you, because sometimes you have to message me and be like, are you dead? Because I haven't heard from you in a few days. And, but like, that has been a big lifesaver. It's one thing my husband taught me, and we started doing when we were dating, is we would just put our phones away when we had time together. And it really forced us to have that quality time. So I can get like putting the date, like making sure you're having the dates, because like for him and I, and actually one of the things that I've realized that this year, now that we're like full blown, like in marriage mode now, so things are a little bit different, not a lot different, but different. And especially in some of our roles, like he's stepped up a lot more in the husband, in the male lead position, and me in where should I lead versus, where should you, so there's certain aspects like the house and the kids. It's like I do a lot of that stuff. But anyway, what was I saying? So I found that like we kind of need time apart, because we spend so much time together that like there's time, and like at first I would take offense to it, because I'd be like, dude, you're going out and running errands without me. I want to go. But then realizing, you know what? Like, this is a time for me to put on a podcast, just listen to music. I don't know, get a couple of things done that I needed to get done that I wouldn't have gotten done. So it's like, it's interesting. So I think like we're kind of finding like that balance of like how much quality time, because we can't have all quality time, even though I would absolutely love it. But then we get on each other's nerves. But anyway, that's not one of my goals. That's just something I've noticed that like I'm trying to take advantage of and be the better person, and realize like I don't have to spend every minute with somebody I absolutely love spending every minute with. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. Is like just kind of like, decreasing areas that I can, and increasing areas like scrapbooking that I know are going to be beneficial. And it has just already been a lifesaver. Like I already mentally feel so much better. I'm like, and I'm ready to go do it. I mean, I have a lot more goals. And as far as like scrapbooking as a whole, it's like, I think for the most part, I want to stick to like once or twice a week, like more consistent posting. So posting every week, being more active in the groups and with people that we have been, which is going to be a stretch, because I know I don't like to just be on my phone anymore. Yeah. I do kind of like that aspect of being able to step away, but knowing like all of our friends are online. It's like, I know that there's a couple of ladies in my area that scrapbook, and there's one lady who I know, I think her name is Cassie. I'm probably butchering that. She lives in my area, and she's on a couple of design teams, or she was. But we've never met in person. Actually, I don't know if I've met anybody in person that I've met online. Scrapbooky lately, like that we've talked a lot online, I should say. I don't talk with her as much anymore because I think she had to go back to work too, and stuff. But Tammy, she used to scrapbook.
Yeah.
And she doesn't do, she's busy because she ended up having another kid. They bought property, like, you know, it's like we all got all these different points in our life. And I do feel like with scrapbooking, you do kind of have to like figure out the season of your life that you're in, like how that's going to look. And I just think because we were like, or I should say for me, because I was so into this whole community, it was all encompassing.
Yeah.
It was everything.
Yeah.
When it probably shouldn't have been, but I needed it to be. And I'm okay with that. But it's like, so now I'm just kind of learning, like now I have to relearn, like, how do I want this to look? Because I want those relationships, and I miss those relationships. Like, I miss not talking to Moira all the time, you know, and her and me trying to go, you need to do your channel. And now she's got a channel, you know? So it's like, or, you know, it's like doing the hops and everything. So that's one of the things that I kind of resolute myself to, is that not over complicating my goals, just keeping it really simple, because I want to be intentional, and I want to be purposeful, and making sure that I'm creating that good foundation so that I continue to have this habit, so that I can keep doing it. Because I found in my in life, with being a little bit more sick and dealing with my lupus more and stuff, like there's just some days that I can't give in that area. So like it has to be manageable throughout time, because if I do too much now, I'm going to burn out. And I don't want to let go of the good parts of the other habits that I've created either. Right. So it's like, I really got to find that balance, and it's hard. So, but
yeah.
But I think we all got to do it, and I think it just looks different. And I know we'll have more conversations of like how different seasons look within scrapbooking, because that's one of the things that I would love to talk about, because like we've said, we both were, when we were really or I say really popular, that's not what I meant at all. When we were really prolific into the community, we were pretty much at home, stay-at-home moms. And so after we did our chores, and like I did school with the kids, but even that didn't take that much time. When they're little, like it took a lot less time. Like now it takes a lot more time, and it takes a lot more effort, because I have to, you know, get a 15-year-old to do math when she doesn't like to do math, and she's just like, why do I gotta do this? And I'm like, because, you know, because you gotta know how to do math, but I don't think I'm gonna do this math. You never know. And I get it, but you know, anyway, so it's just kind of, it'll be fun to like talk with other people, and like, you know, just talk about how like life's changed, because it's been 10 years.
I know.
You know, like our kids were little when when I started, my kids were little. Yeah. Now I have a 13-year-old. My youngest is 13.
Yeah.
Gonna be 14 crazy. This year. That's scary.
It's crazy.
Anyway, he's a fun 13-year-old, but you know, and I just make fun of him because he's screeching all the time. See, that's the one sad thing about, you can't do that with Tinian, is make fun of his screechy voice.
Yeah.
I don't know how much is screeched, but
Yeah, I don't know how much his is really screwed. Like when we first got divorced and everything, it was starting, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's like deep. His
Yeah,
voice is
he
so
probably sounds a
deep.
lot like Jonas,
Yeah, he
right?
does. He sounds a lot like Jonas.
And
Like,
Jonas's voice got really deep. I remember
oh,
that.
Jonas. Yeah. It's so weird because I have videos of Jonas when he was, younger, and
Mm-hmm.
his voice was so high. Like, it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Well,
It's
and your ex's voice isn't super high either, so
no, no, yeah.
I mean it's kind of I think
It's
that's
cute.
probably genetics, but anyway.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we talked about our goals. I think this is probably a good segue into what is of course I realize I worded this weird because you had to text me and ask me what I meant. So I don't know. Do you want to go about asking that question so that you can word it in a way that maybe other people, because I realize, and I didn't realize this, I realize I talk weird and I say things in ways that people don't understand. And I had this happen to me just this week at work and I wanted to take offense to it. And then I realized, you know what? I say things differently and people just don't always understand. And that's okay.
And that's okay. It is who you are. We love you for it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I don't even remember. I was gonna write down how you kind of explained it, but I didn't write it down. But
okay, so I know what I was trying to get at is the question is what style of goal setting do you have? But more in the meaning of how do you set goals? Like, are you a micro person, a macro
right.
person, type A personality? What I don't even know all the other types, type B, and there's like a combo. Like, so how does that look like? How does goal setting look like in your life? I guess maybe that's more of how I should word it.
And that does make a lot more sense. Like what it kind of goes along with like your personality. Like how are you? Like, and I'm kind of like I definitely like making lists.
Yes. I know, I remember that.
I love making lists. Like I'm sitting here looking at my goals and I have like little check marks next to each like little subcategory. Yeah. So I definitely am like a list maker. Like I want to know what I was thinking at the beginning of the year. Like, why is this what I chose? Yeah. And in the middle of the year when it's like I've totally forgotten it and then I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Let's kind of work on that again. I can like kind of see where I was coming from and kind of see where I'm at. So I like taking notes, and I have this journal that I got from Shutterfly that I am super excited about.
Oh my gosh!
It says you got this.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I really liked this photo. You can see Tinian kind of in the corner
right
here. But And I think I'm dedicating this to like just this year and kind of going to use it like a journal. So like each one of my goals has like a section that I've sectioned off where I can take notes. Like if one day I'm thinking about this goal and I'm like, hey, I've been doing really good at this, I'm going to jot this down, or whatever. Or like on my scrapbooking or being creative, I'm going to keep like a layout log, and then also like, just whatever else creative wise I want to take notes on. Like if I want to try out for a design team, which I don't think I'm going to try out for a design team, or if I want to do a hop, like writing down notes, just kind of like helping me flow through the year. And I kind of feel like that will help me be more intentional with my goals this year, and like kind of helping me remember, oh yeah, I wanted to work on this. How is it going? So I really think, and I'm a huge like note taker. Like I love notebooks. I have so many of them, and so I'm just like, I love notebooks, and so I'm telling myself I'm gonna get through this one. I'm gonna use it all up this year.
So, you mean you're not just gonna let it sit and be pretty?
I'm not gonna let it sit. I'm gonna use it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know I'm like almost the complete opposite of you in a lot of ways. Like, actually, I see that list, and it's almost like a visceral and like it shows up that I do not like the list. And when my husband was making me, I say making me, like he was not being mean. He was trying to be really helpful because that's what a good guy does. He like walks alongside you and goes, "We have a problem. Let's fix it. Maybe you need a list," because a lot of people do need lists. But I'm like, I don't want to make a list of the things, because then I can see all the times that I fail. And I think that's what it is. I can see all the things that I fail at, or I see all the things that I've accomplished and like beforehand, and it's like too much. It's like, oh gosh, that's so much stuff that I need to get done, even though I will do it. Like when, and I say that, and so when I make a list, I just kind of, like, I don't even know if I have anyone in here. I just have other notes. I have true crime notes, but like, I do a lot of just like, this is a broad thing that I need to do, like with the hops. Like, I'm like, which hops do I want to do? So I just wrote down the hops that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I did make a list of what pictures that I thought I might want to scrap, but I don't think I'm going to use the list, because I very much am, once again, free spirit and go with the flow. And I very much want to just be inspired by whatever inspires me that day. Mm. The hard part of that is it is harder to be intentional. And I am fully aware of that. So like at work, I make a list of like what stuff needs to get done this week. Sometimes I don't look at the list and I don't get everything done. And, and then I feel bad because I know I could have did more. But not to say I wasn't doing stuff. It's just I didn't get the stuff done that maybe I thought I could get done. But and I think that's where, like, I have a lot of grace for myself when I probably shouldn't. But then again, it's like I don't know. It's like I don't like that stress of knowing that, like, I have to do this. Because, and I think that's part of why I got burned out also, is like, it was all about all the teams I was on. Just like you were saying, I'm not thinking I want to be on any teams for a while. I mean, I've thought about being on teams. I'm like, oh, that would be really fun. But I'm not in any place to be on any teams because it's just, that's too much for me to do. Like, it would just be too much. Yeah. I could do it, but it would be a lot, especially with working and still homeschooling and, and the kids. And it's like, they're teenagers, so they, like, have a lot of stuff. And they're teenagers that don't drive yet, so, that's even worse, right? Because I have to bring them places if they want to go do stuff. I'm tired, so it's like maybe next year or whatever, as I get settled into a routine that is doable, maybe I can think about it. I don't know. I haven't decided. Like, with that said, though, I've committed myself to doing other things, and, like, with us doing this, I'm like, oh, I really want to do this, but I know it's because it's fun, and I know that we'll enjoy it, other people will enjoy it, and it gives us that chance to, like, have that community that maybe we didn't have before, so, I don't know. Yeah. So it's not like I'm not giving myself stuff to do, it's just, I just don't like to see it written down. Yeah. But when and
it makes kind of sense, though, because you've always kind of been, like, that free bird kind of person. Yeah. Like, you don't live by everybody else's rules. You kind of do your own thing. And, like, you were a lot more just open and let's go and go with the flow, And so, yeah, when you asked that, I was like, oh, yeah, she's totally not a list maker. She's totally not. You know, like...
But I do make lists because I have
Yeah.
to. Because, and then, like, there's the other part of it is my memory is not so good anymore.
Yeah.
Like, with having health issues, like, for whatever reason, your brain just, like, can't store everything. So, it's like, I see how it's necessary to have a list. So, it's like, but just doing it in a way that, like, makes it just so super broad and general for me. And less, because I can always add more that's not on the list. Yeah. It's like, because and I'm sure you get this, there's certain nights I come home from work and I make dinner and I'm like, I just need to do nothing. I just need to watch YouTube or watch my favorite show. Yeah. I started watching Survivor this year. I haven't watched it in years. And I enjoyed it so much. I was like, I forgot how much I loved it. See, so it's like I hope this year is very much like re-falling in love with things that I forgot that I like. Yeah, so it's kind of like having that open mind of like, and I think that's where being a free spirit is like really helps me. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't help me with being I don't want to say consistent because that's not true, because I've always been consistent and loyal in certain areas, but like when I'm done, and I don't know if that's ADHD or I just don't know if it's just my free spirit. Okay, so how has setting goals for you helped you in the past, and how are you hoping that it helps you in the future? We kind of touched on this, so I don't know if we need to talk about it super long, but
I think I'm going to say, like, I have a hard time setting goals. Like, I mean, I don't have a hard time setting them. I have a hard time keeping them. Mm-hmm. Because it's always been like, okay, you're so excited about the new year. Like, you write all these goals, and then you, like, forget them, you know, after a few months. Yeah.
Life actually happens.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, things happen, and you kind of just are like, okay, whatever. Like, you're just in survival mode after a little while sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. So, I don't think that necessarily I'm really much of a goal keeper, like, but I think it's good to have that kind of to start with, just so that you kind of have a way that you want to go in the year, whether you complete them or not. I mean, at least you completed something at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I think that with me having this goal journal this year, like, I really hope that does help me kind of stay intentional in doing my goals and keeping them and, you know, checking in and continuing to use the goals.
Well, and I think in the past, from what I've seen, I mean, obviously I'm not in your scrap room with your
True.
You know, notebook, planner, making your list. But I know in the past that has been very helpful for you to go to, you know, and just the joy of checking it off, I think for you has been a big thing.
Oh, exactly. Right.
Like for me, it's like, like honestly, there's a lot of times I forget to check stuff off my list that I did. Yeah. Because like that, I get no pleasure out of checking it off. None whatsoever. It's the doing of the thing. So that's what I know. That's what motivates me. But I think for you, the checking it off and going, you know, so it's like when you're in the right headspace and the right intentional space, you do stick to your goals because you have them written down, because you want to check them off, you know. And so it's like you almost get this like double whammy of like, oh, I got this thing done and I get to check it off because I got it done, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I love about scrapbooking and like especially New Year's goals is like we all like sometimes, I'm going to step back for a second. I'm going to say sometimes I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do it ways that other people do it. And like, especially as I've gotten older, I realize like, no, I need to stick to me. And I say this knowing that like I begrudgingly do things that other people suggest I should do because it works for them. And, but there's that process of me learning like, oh, that's not working. Or even sometimes, and this is horrible, and I get it, is like, I know that I will do it for like the minute that they think I'm going to do it. And then I just won't do it. Like, I know in my head I'm not going to follow through. Because I kind of have this, like, I know who I am. And I'm like, yeah. So it's like, I get that that's like really bad. I should just tell people. I really should just tell people. But like, so this, it's like the thing I love about our community is there's so many different people and different ways that people do things. So we get to see those different perspectives and hopefully check it out, because part of it is growing so that we are successful. And like, when we set these goals for crafting, it's to feed our souls, right? But then from it flows into the other areas of our life, because if we're happy in this area and we're able to express ourselves in this area, we're going to be more forgiving. We're going to have more patience. We're going to have more resilience. We're going to have more perseverance for different other things, because we had something filling our cup, right? And like, we can only fill our own cup. So the inspiration is so plentiful, but sometimes we can get stuck in going, oh, well, you know, Sarah did it this way and Miranda does it this way. Or the flip side of it is gosh, sheesh, that person has, like, they just get the stuff done. They make the plan, they do it, like, they're just always killing them and crushing those goals. And then it makes you kind of feel bad, because you're like, what the heck did I do? Oh, I wrote down my goals.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, but that's not what it's about. Like, because, you know, it's like all of us have all these different perspectives. Of course, I said people's names. I didn't mean it like that. I hope people know I'm not like picking on those people, because I was just saying people's names that popped in my head. But there are some of the ladies in our community who crush it all the time. And they're just like, go, 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 go. And I know we've had friends who were like that. I won't mention names. Who we've seen the roller coaster that they were falling off of before maybe they seen it. And they are just go, 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 go. And it seems like they're accomplishing a lot. And we're like, what the heck? But it's like, honestly, it's their own journey, because that's part of how their personality is. And it's like, I think sometimes in those moments we have to stop being so comparing ourselves. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if it's a female thing. I don't know if it's just a person thing. Like, I don't know if it's that easy, but we just have this ability to like feel like we have to be as good as somebody else. And it's like, and I know for me, especially as I've gotten older, but like, just in certain periods of my life, I'm like, I know who I am. And I think that's like, I'm going to go off on a tangent. So I'm going to stop myself.
This is like tangent number 10.
Yeah. Here, I thought that this was going to be a quick question.
No.
Should know.
You should have known better.
Okay, so your goal is let them be. Is that your, like, one little phrase word? Like,
yeah.
I want to.
Yeah. So, well, that's kind of like a twofold. Because
right.
I feel like I chose a phrase to kind of help me in those moments where I'm having like a hard time.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to yell and scream and just get mad. You know, like, so I kind of repeat that. Let them, like, let those people.
Yeah. It's like a mantra.
Yeah, exactly. A mantra. That's a good word. But like my word of the year, I am doing, I want to focus on love this year.
Oh, okay. So your word is different than your phrase.
Yes.
But they kind of go hand in hand, you know, because when you're letting them, you're loving yourself and you're loving them by not interfering in things that you don't need to interfere in.
Exactly. Yes. So creating more love by letting people be themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess the follow-up question to that, actually, let me answer it and then we'll follow.
I was going to say, you answer.
Yeah. So, one, I've realized that I've had FOMO for one little word, but I absolutely cannot stick to it. And I'm just not going to do it.
I
so want to love it because it's such a great concept. It's such it's Allie Edwards is so amazing, and her stuff is so it's inspiring. As simple as it is, right? Like, I just want to get all her stuff. But you know what? I've realized I don't really use her stuff that often. Except for December Daily. That's like a whole different thing. But even then, I don't do December Daily like she does it.
Right.
But with the one little word, it's like I've tried quite a few years, and I've bought in the kit one year, and I just don't follow through. Mm-hmm. It's just like... It's another one of those things where it's like it doesn't do what it does for other people, and I just am okay with that.
Yeah.
So it's like I have the other goals, so I feel like that's enough for me to not be like, oh, I don't need a word, you know. I mean, it's like if we had to say.
Well, if you don't feel drawn to do it, I mean, what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that's the hard part with FOMO, right? Is you see so many other people being such inspired. They're so inspired by it, or the product's so inspiring, and you just want to do it, right? And it's like, but just realizing, like, okay, personality-wise, if I'm not drawn to it, why am I wasting my money here? Why am I wasting my time, my mental time? Mm-hmm. Because... you know, that's what it ends up being. And then I end up going to my desk going, oh, create was my word. And I have to figure out how I'm incorporating that this month. Like, ugh. Even instead of just going, I'm going to be intentional about being at my desk. I'm just going to sit at my desk. I'm going to draw something. I'm going to there was at the end of last year, I guess it was after Christmas, I got the flu, like so stinking bad. Then Jason got the flu. Then Sam got the flu. Of course, then Kaden got it later. And I'm like, I want to do something creative. I'm like, so I found and printed off brush script stuff, and I was like, that's what I was doing in bed. I'm like, you know, it's like, because the thing I realize is that the whole purpose of me making a list of, you know, is really just to be intentional to do something that I like, do something that needs to be done, you know, and stick to it, right? So it's like, and I realize, I'm like, okay, you know, because even like Jason was giving me all these things, like ideas of what I could put down, like, you know, even within crafting. He doesn't craft. I shouldn't say that. He crafts in a whole different way that is not crafting. If fixing machinery is crafting, then he sure does it.
It's a type of craft,
right? You know, if making plans to organize something is creating, then he sure does that. But it's like, and along the way I realized, like, oh, I can just swap this out for something that I actually want to do. Yeah. And I think that's like, sometimes I get so in my head about, you know, and I think this is where like FOMO comes in, and where like seeing how other people do things and them doing it so well, because they understand who they are, right? And it's like, so when we let go of that and we understand who we are, we can be more productive in our own, like, you know, however that needs to look for each other. Right? Because it's not going to look the same. But at the end of the year, we get to say, but look what I accomplished because I intentionally just came as me. And, you know, and then hopefully we tell the stories and, you know, use all the photos that we wanted to use. Right. And if not, you know what? Next year is always a new start.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so how are you incorporating love in your scrapbooking, or let them in your scrapbooking or scrap space? So within scrap, you know, creating.
Well, and that was kind of a hard question. When I read that, I was just like,
I know.
I
See.
that.
I wanted us to think about some hard stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes I make things really easy because I don't want to think about the hard things. And maybe that's something I need to work on this year. And so that's why I'm making you do it. Because that's what a good best friend does.
Oh, of course.
Is just
the hard work.
Being more because of a lot of the stuff I've been through, I've just tried to kind of be even more easygoing and more free flowing and not being as intentional in my thought process too, of how am I going to follow through with this? Yeah. Or what do I really think about this? And I think it is important to kind of if we're going to have these mantras, these words, these goals, we do kind of need to have a plan. Oh, right? Yeah, no, whether our plan is written out or not. Right? Because I have a plan too, but I just don't have it written out. I just tell you about it when I talk to you. Yes. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm thinking about this. I probably sound like a hyperactive squirrel. But
you're my favorite hyperactive squirrel.
But it's my way of working, of incorporating those goals and that thought process and intentionality into what I'm doing. Because ultimately, if we don't do that, if we don't think about it and we don't take time to sit in it and go, how am I going to do this? How do I want it to go? As I'm going, how is this working? How is this not working? How can I change it to better fit me and this beginning goal? Because you're just talking about, it's so cool to see, I have this foundation. You started the foundation, but it's that next part. And maybe that's why it's so hard right now. I mean, besides all the life stuff, because we all have the adult stuff. We all have life stuff that can get in the way. But really sitting down and go, how am I incorporating this? So it's even if it's just as simple as I had the flu, and instead of saying, oh, darn, I can't do December daily like I was wanting to, I can sit here and, my wrist works, so it's I think that thought process is kind of, I'm hoping is catapulting me. I say that like I'm a seasoned veteran and I know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's kind of like the mantra I need to hear for myself. So I hope everybody knows that. And give me your mantras. Give me your advice, because they're in all reality, I'm just an 11-year-old scrapbooker. That's as long as I've been doing it. And even not even, because I took 3 years off. So 8 years.
So you got a -3 years.
Yeah, I know. We got to deduct some time. Okay, so anyway, how are you wanting, even if it's just sort of verbally spouting? I know I think best when I talk. I don't know if you're like that too. So yes and no.
I think the way, because I think about love, I love photography. Mm-hmm. I love Scrappy. I love colors. I love patterns. Yeah. Just kind of thinking about all the things that I love. And then what I want to scrapbook. Because a lot of the photos that I have printed are old photos. Mm-hmm. And some of those old photos I've actually been going through, and my ex is in them, and those ones end up in the trash. Mm-hmm. But then there are some that I'm like, well, should I keep this one because my ex is with my kids? Mm-hmm. What if they want those? So it's a lot of just learning how I want to do this craft, I guess. So incorporating all of the things that I love in my life and about the hobby, and just kind of doing the hobby. Mm-hmm. Well, and in the last few years, like, I have embraced the person that I am, that I love patterns and I love bright colors. And
Yeah.
that was something that I didn't get to enjoy when I was with my ex. And so,
Mm.
like, just enjoying those things and being crazy in my, like, I do like traditional scrapbooking, but I also love, like, bold patterns. And so the patterns that are kind of crazy in some collections, I
Yeah.
used to never use because it was like my
Mm.
ex, would be like, "Oh my god, like yuck," like he would look at my things and like be like, "Ew, why?"
Yeah.
And I'm just
Mhm.
like, now I'm just like, you know what? I love this piece of paper. I'm totally gonna use it, and I'm gonna use
Yeah.
the whole thing. Like, everyone be damned. I love it, so it is showing
Well,
up.
and there's definitely, like, when you're not putting down things you love on the page, it is so easy to get burnt out. Being
Exactly.
on a
Yes.
design team has taught me that. Like, the kits that were the hardest, like, there was a couple of kits for click kits. There was a superhero one, and oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I had the hardest time making stuff because, like, it just didn't spark
Yeah.
joy, as
Yeah.
Marie Kondo says.
Yeah.
It just didn't do it. And I had to force myself to do, and of course I made it work, and I made some layouts that I did enjoy, and I did an art journal page too. So it was, but it's like, yeah, when you really love what you're putting on the page, it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
uh,
It makes a difference.
it so makes a difference. And it's like, and I think I've come, especially as I'm coming back and realizing that, I don't know. Ugh, my brain just farted. Um, I'm
Oh
realizing,
goodness.
like, I don't have to love every single one of my layouts too. Like, I can love the process of making it,
Oh yeah.
because I think that's happened a lot too, is like I've made layouts and I'm like, you know, and it wasn't that I didn't love the papers. It wasn't that I didn't love other products or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the overall, it just didn't turn out the way. And I think, like, for me this year, I really want to focus on, like, if I don't like it, I can always take it apart too. Because
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that. Let me tell you, I have a hard time,
Yeah.
like, taking apart things that I didn't like.
I do
And I
too.
remember listening to, I think I want to say it was Tracy, one of the Scrap Gals episodes.
Oh
She was
really?
talking about how she, like, was taking apart all her layouts, and I was like, why would you do that? But now I can kind of understand. I'm in a
Yeah.
whole different place now. I can understand, because it's like, you know what? If it didn't turn out the way you wanted, just, because, like, what I would do is I'd just stop scrapping it. I would stop. It would be a photo that I wanted to use, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or a background I wanted to use, but I didn't like how it was turning out, so it's like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. You
so
just kind of put it to the side and never pick it up.
yeah, yeah, I have
Yeah.
a
And then
stack of
that's
things.
yeah. And then that becomes sad. Like
Yeah,
you're really excited about that thing, but
yeah,
yeah. I just like in everything this year, I just really want to focus on love and
mm-hmm,
just I mean, this is really something that I have loved to do, like,
yeah,
more than half of my life. And so, and I feel like I did kind of lose that for a little while. And I mean, even though I was still scrapbooking through my divorce and kind of trying to,
mm,
I did kind of lose it for a little bit. I did kind of not find joy in it. And I think it was good for me though. Like you were
yeah,
saying, like I
yeah,
think it was. It was really good because it kind of made me realize how much I really do love it. And I
mm-hmm.
really do miss it. And every time that I pick it up now and I'm like, "Oh my god, why did I, stay away
Yeah,
for so long?"
I know. When I was doing the voiceover last night, and I was like, I forgot I like to just talk for 20 minutes.
Right?
I wish I could say that my husband would benefit from it and I'd be a little bit quieter, or even you, but no, it's not going to
No.
change. Actually, it probably means I'm going to message you more and I'm going to tell him more, because, like, I've been creating, like, our images and stuff, or images because I wanted to create an image for my channel. I just wanted to do something fresh and new. And then I was like, oh, I should do something. And like the minute my husband comes home from work, I'm like, you got to see what I made. And I'm sure he's happy that I'm enjoying myself and he gets to see a part of me that honestly, and that's the weirdest part is like, he doesn't know me before. I mean, I remember when we first started dating, I told him that I had a YouTube channel because I felt like I needed to be honest about it. Even though, I know it's just a small channel comparative to, like, other people. But, like, in all reality, we're influencers. And,
well, and it is a big part of your life, even if you're not doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I love that he was like, okay, you, like, I think you lost your way here somewhere. Something's missing. Like, let's figure it out, which a good partner does that, right? A good partner goes, you don't seem as happy. You're not loving yourself. You're not loving something about something. And they push you to, like, better yourself and figure it out. Even it looks different in every relationship, but that's what a good relationship is about. Anyway. Okay. What is your favorite part of the new year? As we're talking about New Year's and new beginnings and all this stuff, I thought something light. This is light after all the heavy stuff.
Well, I just because the celebrations like Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's a fun time of year and but it's also kind of stressful. Yeah. And so I love Christmas and I love that. But then it's nice to just kind of have a nice new freshness with the new year. Yeah. And it just kind of wipes the slate clean. You get to start the new year over it's new and you can make these new goals, and I just like that feeling of freshness. After kind of a crazy, stressful end,
I think one of my favorite parts about the new year is, one, seeing everybody else be really excited, because I could care less about New Year's resolutions too. I think it just goes along with the goal thing. But I love seeing other people being inspired by that. And that's what inspires me, is seeing other people excited about it. I very much feed off of other people's emotions in that way, which is how I ended up getting so burnt out, I think, because I was putting so much into myself in my scrap room to get away, but I was feeding into what my ex was putting out, and it was just too much of a lot of stuff for me to do, because I wasn't being true to myself. But anyway, so it's I love seeing everybody else excited. That makes me excited, and so it makes me more inspired to get in my room and help be a part of that, because I mean that's one of the fun parts about our community, is that we really love to encourage each other, even if it means spending more money or spending more time in our craft room instead of spending more time with our families, I mean. But it's just so fun that feeding off of each other is I love that. I love that inspiration. And it's just, and honestly, especially even with being sick, a lot of what I was doing is I might have not been commenting on people's layouts, so I'm trying to be better about that too. Just so that I get that interaction, because I really miss that. Is just looking through and going, oh, what's inspiring me? Who's making layouts? And interacting a little bit with that. I don't think I was leaving a ton of messages, but which, like I said, I know I need to be better about that, because if I want people to leave me messages, I gotta do that too. And like I said, I am a people person, and I do like I love the interaction. So it's
yeah, you do.
It's we can't feed off of each other if I'm just sitting there just going, oh, that is so cute. I love those colors. But I think so. I think that's one of my favorite parts. And I also like the slowing down of things, and kind of getting back into the routine. Especially, and I've realized this as I've started working and being outside of the house, is I really do like to just do nothing and kind of slow down, You know, I took that for granted, for sure. I took it for granted, you
yes.
know, because it's
We
like,
do.
I didn't have to leave the house if I didn't want. Actually, I couldn't leave the house. But that's a whole other story that we're not going to get
That's a
into.
whole
But I
nother
couldn't leave the
story.
house, so it was like I was stuck at home, and I made the most of it. And I realized, oh, I actually don't mind not leaving the house sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, so what is your least favorite part about the new year? You want me to tell you mine? As you're thinking?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think my least favorite part is the I don't know if hype's the word I want to use. See, my brain is starting to die, so I'm going to apologize right now. Probably, maybe I should have, I almost got a glass of wine. So next time I'm going to have a glass of wine while we have this chat.
Idea.
Anybody else can have whatever drink that they feel necessary. I had coffee, but I drank it all before we started. But I think my least favorite part is just the push to like do all the things when in all reality change and habit is like one little thing at a time, and it doesn't matter like yes, it's good to start off fresh and you know like start this foundation, but like sometimes we can put so much into like what that means that we can't stick it through. And so I think that's the thing, like just the pressure that gets put on the new year to like have all this new, and maybe it's the part of me that doesn't like that, or the construct is like, you know, the free part of me doesn't like that part, because it's like we should be doing these things all year long. If this is something that means something, we should be like, or we can pick it up in January, we could pick it up in May, we could pick it up in December, you know, like there's things like we need to be able to pivot and go, oh, this is not working, especially in our scrap room. It's like, oh, this organization isn't working. Why am I sticking to this just because I had a goal? You know, like sometimes that pressure to do that, and I say this all like, I felt so much pressure. I do not, because I know who I am, and especially in my scrap room. So I hope everybody who's listening and, you know, can realize that like there's areas that I think in our life that we know who we are and we stick to it, and other areas that like we kind of let things be and kind of get swallowed in. And in my craft room is not one of those areas, but I kind of held that tight, and I held that close to my heart because that was the only place that I could do that. Right. So, but like the just like when I feel that within the community, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's just like feels so stuffy, and it's like, okay, let's like, so it's weird because it's like, I love that we're all hyped up and we're all excited and we're all going to do these things. But then it's like kind of sad because it's like, you know, next month, who knows where Jane's going to be? I don't know. She was posting every week and now she's not posting. And like, I know I've said to people on, you know, like, hey, I want to, you know, be posting. And especially like that last year, probably 2020, I was a lot less consistent. A lot less consistent. I thought I was getting my words all mixed up. But yeah, so I would know I wasn't as consistent, and I would say things hoping, but I just didn't do anything about it. So, and we all have times like that, and it's, you know, it's like I don't want. We shouldn't have to have that pressure. It's like, I think it's pressure we put on ourselves. So I think maybe it's just like that part of me that feels, it's like I kind of feel bad for people who feel like they have to have that pressure, because it's like, you know what, we can just start all over next week. Tomorrow, we can start all over. It's okay. Exactly. Just start all over. It's new beginnings every day.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. Like the pressure that people put on themselves. Yeah. That's not... Because that's like, I guess that's the opposite of being like the fresh start, is like just the pressure of having to show up for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like,
having
No,
to
do it for
do
yourself.
all of the things because you don't want to miss out, having to buy all the
Right.
stuff. You know, I think that's one thing that I want to be intentional about is not buying. It's like as
Oh,
much as I
yeah.
can, I want to not buy this year because I have so much stuff. It's like I was going through making a layout last weekend and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. And looking through it, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. You know, so it's like, I don't know if I'm going to do anything with that. Like, as far as like, oh, do I just want to take the kits and make myself use a kit? Do I just want to use random stuff? I
Yeah.
have no idea.
You're
And
really good at using random stuff.
yeah.
Like, I feel like you're, like, that's a really good trait that you have as a scrapbooker. Like, you can just
See,
use
but, and
whatever.
you're really good at building
The
a kit and
kits
sticking
and
to it.
yeah.
I never can
Yeah.
stick to it. Like, even when we made kits, I always would find something. Because I had to. Like, you know, I just had to find something. Like, I couldn't just leave it. I couldn't leave the dogs lying. You know, I had to add one more thing.
Yeah.
But that's just because something sitting around, and I'm like, oh, yeah,
Don't use it.
I love you. You know, and that's the joy that I get out of it. But with that said, like there is something about the discipline of taking a kit and using the kit, and I did do that. Like when I was on teams, like I didn't add extra stuff, and that was definitely difficult when it was kits that I didn't care about. That I wasn't as inspired, you know. So it like grows you, but it's like this like painful growth because it's like,
Right.
I don't really want to grow.
Yeah, you don't want to.
You know, because not
Right.
every that's the hard part about having a kit that gets sent to you that you don't curate yourself. Like that was the fun part about doing For the Love of Homemade Kits, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't want to pick up doing right now, but maybe that's something in the future we can. It's just too overwhelming, and I say that because I think I have 3 kits that we've made in bags that I really didn't touch.
Yeah, I think I probably do too.
Yeah. But on the flip side, I spent probably half an hour, 45 minutes just looking through my shit to find the perfect papers to go with the photo because I knew I wanted pink and black. And so I was like, I know I have Valentine's stuff somewhere. Apparently I didn't have that much Valentine's stuff, which is not surprising because I really didn't care about scrapbooking Valentine. I'm not a very themey scrapbooker, which you are a lot more themey.
I am very much.
The only themey one is Christmas. That's the only time I get themey.
Right.
But anyway, which is fun. It's fun to see what each person likes, and I think that's the cool part about scrapbooking is like we get to see that. And honestly, I feel like when I look in the groups now, I see a lot more of that than for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a while where it seemed like everything is all the same. And don't get me wrong, like they're all beautiful stuff, right? Even all the same stuff. But it was like a lot of the same. And some of the companies that are coming out right now just are doing a lot more. And actually some of the stuff that I got in the summer, I think it was in the summer, when my kids were gone, I bought a few like papers. I don't know how new they were because I got them at Joann's or something. Not probably Joann's. And they reminded me of some of the old stuff that like I was barely there for. Like I kind of came up on the backside of it. What was the one paper? What company was that? What are some of the old companies? Everybody's shouting all these old companies at us, by the way. I just
like
hear them.
October Afternoon.
Yep. But even more vintage than that. What was the other one? There was another one. I remember Mercy Tierra talking about it a lot because it was one of the ones that she loved. Oh, it's too late. This is why. It's getting too late for our brains. Anyway, but there was a couple of papers that just like really reminded me of like October Afternoon, but like even more than that. So like just the old stuff. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's like stuff I would wear because it would drive my mom nuts. I don't know how I'm going to use it, but I bought it.
But it was, yeah.
You know, the few things that I bought. Okay, so what... I feel like we kind of talked about this, but what are some of the hurdles or struggles with accomplishing your goals? I feel like we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to like re-go into that. Okay.
Yeah. I think
how do you factor these? This is like kind of piggyback off of that. How do you factor that when you are trying to execute your goals? And I realized I didn't even put that execution right. Just so you know, I didn't spell it right. This is why it is going to be so much fun when my kids or other people go through my layouts.
Oh, yes.
It kind of pains me to think that people are going to throw them out, and I know that's probably going to happen, but I don't know. Maybe I should...
I don't even think about that, though.
I rarely do, but this just made me think about, like, you know, they're probably just going to toss them out.
Yeah.
Actually, I need to die after my husband because he will just toss them out because he's gonna he is not a keeper of things. Like things do not, you know, and so I don't know. Maybe he'll give them to the kids, but I could see him tossing them, being like, "She's not hearing. If no one wants them, I'm not keeping this around." I remember Tracy and Tiffany having more of a conversation about, like, you know, what do you do with your layouts? Actually, I've seen some people talk about, like, scanning them and putting them in, like, the chat books or something like that, like a Shutterfly book.
Something like that. That's a good idea, actually.
That really might be something that, and honestly, it might be something that, this is like a whole different, obviously, tangent conversation, which is amazing and great, right? Because we need to have those. But yeah, so it might be something, because I have so many layouts that need to go in binder or like albums.
Yeah, me too.
I don't even want to know how many albums, because it's like I was so prolific for so long.
I know.
I mean, look at my channel and how many videos do I have? That's probably about how many layouts I have, because there's layouts that I've done that I've not shared too. Yeah. Not a lot, but there is some.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Project Life that I didn't share, because over the years I've tried to do Project Life. That was one thing when I first started that scrapbooking online, or like sharing online. I was doing, remember I was doing the Project Life when we would have our chats. That's when we actually talked a lot more face to face. So, see.
Yeah, that was.
All I needed to do was say, Meggy, we need to do Scrappy Chat with Meggy and Hannah. And if I had known that that's all I needed to say to get you to FaceTime with me. No, I'm joking. We both are so busy. Like, there's so many times that I'd be like, dude, I'm so tired. So this is going to be fun, because we have talked way more than the 45 minutes that I said, but
I'm very
as long as, you know, we're almost done. Okay. So, so yeah, the main question was, how do you factor like your struggles into the execution of your goals, or do you not? I guess that's another, like, I could just ask that. Like, do you factor that in or no? Or do you not think about it? I don't think I do. I think because I just am so intuitive as far as like just doing whatever feels good. Like,
right. That's I agree.
Not letting that stop or hinder, I think, is just a good way to go about it. I mean, not everybody can do that. Some people, like, I know there's some people like have to do certain photos in a certain order, and if that works for them, then do it. I can't, because I just like whatever I'm in. That's why I have so many photos printed that I've not scrapped.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
whatever
it's like
you feel like scrapping in the moments.
But there is something to like being a little bit more consistent. Like, and I know, like, restarting back over again, I'm like, how many photos do I want to go back in time? I don't think I didn't take that. There's many of this time I did not take that many photos. Like, my photo album storage barely went up.
Oh, really?
From these past 3 years. There are photos, don't get me wrong. Just
not that many.
Not that many.
You were saying that the other day. Yeah, that you don't really take that many photos anymore.
Yeah, that's why I joined in with Miranda Weber's hop and the 52, because I'm like, it's gonna force me to take photos, because I do want to take photos, and I know once I get doing it, it'll be fine and I won't have a problem, because I didn't have a problem finding photos before, let me tell you. It's like, I did not. So, but I know I was mentioning it, and there was one lady who was like, I gotta do it, from, start to finish, basically. Like, so I just, when, if I stop and I take a break, I just go back to where I was, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do that. And maybe some of it is my hesitation to not wanting to deal with some of the emotions that come with some of that like some of those time periods, because I know I have stuff from 2020 that I didn't really scrap. And probably 2021 was a really hard year for a lot of the year. It was a lot. And there's just a lot going on. So a lot of emotion. And even though, like, I've done therapy, like, throughout, and I know I took some breaks, but, like, I've done a lot of therapy. So it's not like I can't just look at them, but it's just like, I don't know if I want to. Like, how much is it going to benefit? And I think that, like, that plays into things sometimes when we're scrapbooking, and I know that's, like, a whole different Scrappy chat that we will have, is talking about scrapping through divorce, and that, and not just divorce, though. I think I also want to hit on, like, hard times, too, because sometimes we have a life change that is different than divorce, but can feel very similar in that it really stretches you as a person, and you really have to grow and go outside of your comfort zone in lots of different ways. And it, like, I find it interesting because, like, I had that experience with Lonnie going through cancer, and what did I do? I went right into scrapbooking. Like, I dove into it, and it really got me through that, which is so interesting that, like, on the flip side with the divorce, but anyway, that's a whole another conversation that I should not get us into. With that said, if you guys have suggestions, please put them in the comments so that we can start making a list. This is one of those lists that is necessary, is to have, like, things that we want to talk about. So, okay. So what motivates you to get into your scrap space?
I think a lot of time it's like exciting events, or, a picture or something that just kind of sparks an idea. Or, I mean, even now that I'm getting back into, like, the Facebook groups and stuff, like the hops and everything, they kind of get me excited and get me wanting to do something. So, yeah, I think for me, a lot, like, there's so many different components. I think one of the big things, like, for me, is I love just the opportunity to be creative in so many different ways. And that really does inspire me to get in, especially when I was very prolific. It was like, okay. And I remember, like, when we were talking, like, this is earlier on, but when we were talking all the time about scrapbooking, I'd be at the store and I'd see something and I'd be like, oh, it would give me an idea. It would totally not be, like, it translated into something completely different, totally not being the same thing, but it would just spark something. And I know that motivated me so much for a long period of time. It's just like being outside, especially when the kids were little, that was a really easy time to be motivated, because, like, you see them interacting and then you're like, how can I put that? Like, I remember there was hops or crops are one of the fun ways to be motivated in a whole different way. And I remember Paper Issues was doing an online hop, and there's all these different challenges, and one of them, I don't even know what the challenge was, but I remember that, like, the bubbles that my kids were blowing was such an inspiration that I had to put that, like,
on my layout, and it was one of my favorite layouts, and I actually think that one might have won me something from Paper Issues, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
But it was just so much fun, and I used color, I used media, like I had to, and, well, I feel like I make that sound so bad, like, I love to use it, like, don't,
yeah.
I had to use it. Like, it was just, if I didn't use media, like, gosh, back then I was using media that was, like, not your traditional media because I didn't have access to everything. And I realized pretty quickly that I couldn't go into this craft store because there was a really nice craft store in Hawaii, at Ben Franklin's, and they had a really nice store. But it was so expensive, and I remember one time it was my birthday, and I went in there, and I spent like $350, and I was like, oh my god, but that's where my ex wasn't controlling, and like, I was just like, it, and I was like, it was my birthday, and let me tell you, I've used most of that stuff, though. I really have.
You were good at doing that.
But it was, and I think it was just like not I had never been into a lot of those stores, like, like I didn't grow up with Michaels and all that kind of stuff, so going in there and seeing everything that people were using and then seeing other stuff, it was like so definitely, like, product inspires me a lot. Like, media product inspires me to, like, just, and motivates me to get in there. And then, what was the other thing that I was thinking about that motivates me to get in there? I think just the playing with stuff,
Right.
Just getting in there and getting dirty, and then, and I come out with something fun and beautiful, and then I get to share it and talk with other people and see what they're creating, and then that motivates. It's like, this is like a vicious cycle that is amazing, that we call scrapbooking. Okay, so last question, and I'm gonna say this, actually it's like a twofold question, but I'm gonna say it and then kind of preface like what we're gonna do next week, because I know you mentioned it. I actually listened to that message. So this last question, I want to pose it to everybody else. So this is one thing that if you've watched this and you've watched it this far, thank you. Definitely put in the comments your answer to this, because we're going to talk about this next week. And I want to be intentional about bringing up other people's answers to this question, because I think that would be really fun to see what other people say. Because it's just so fun to see the diversity that we have in our groups. Like I said, I think that's the cool thing about right now is like the products. Like, we're not just stuck in this one little niche. It's like for a long time we got stuck with, nicely stuck. Don't get me wrong, with like all crepe paper or all this, or it's like very similar looking things. And if you wanted something different, like, okay, maybe there is Echo Park, but if you didn't scrap that way, like I have a hard time using Echo Park because I'm not very themey. And not to say that their stuff isn't pretty or cool or like it, inspiring. I was just like, when I sat down, it just didn't inspire me the same way. But I see other people use it and I'm like, oh my gosh. But so it's like, that's the cool thing, is there's such diversity, and it's like, I really want to highlight that, because this is where we do get inspired, is by seeing other people inspired, and then we can figure out either different ways to use it, same ways to use it, find other items. And it's like, I was looking at some stuff on Instagram today, and there was one post that somebody was doing like a junk fun like journal, and they had all of this stuff. Is nothing that I would use. Is a lot of like old like newspaper type paper, and just like pictures, like a real picture but in a sticker form. It was like way different, but it was super inspiring. And I was like, that is really cool that there is this person may be connected in the paper crafting world, but they may not be, because There's
Mm-hmm.
some people that I see or follow that I don't think they're not
Oh yeah.
following in the same circles that I am, at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's like their stuff is still inspiring, but it's so different, and how they come about and come into it is different. And so it's like super cool to hear everybody's, stories in it. And I think that there's so much we can glean from that. So anyway, definitely put that stuff below, because we want that interaction. I like to talk, but I also like to listen and hear everybody else's stuff. Okay, so what is your reason why for scrapbooking? And we can just barely touch on this, because I know we're going to talk about this next week. So this is our topic for next week. We're going to talk about a reason why, and I think maybe talking about our journey a little bit would kind of be fun within that. But so
my reason why right now is completely different than when I first started.
Yeah.
And so my reason why now is totally just for myself, for my creative outlet, for my sanity. Like, it's definitely all for me right now. And I'm embracing that and realizing that I'm not doing this for anybody. I'm not doing this for my kids. I'm not doing this for, my partner. I'm not doing this for anybody else but me. Like, if somebody does throw them away at the end of my life, it is what it is, because I did this for me and it helped me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm enjoying that fact that I'm doing something for myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you've gotten to the place where you're comfortable saying that too. Because it's like I've seen you struggle throughout the years, just like almost feeling bad about doing talking about yourself in it. And it's like, but you're the one behind the camera. You're the one telling everybody else's story. And why can't your story be in there? Because, and it's, as I say that, like, my reason why has always been for me. Like, yes, I absolutely love documenting, especially like close up, like micro parts of a photo. Like, I like it, and I think it just goes with my personality. I really have a hard time when I see everything all at once. It's just too much. It's too chaotic. It gives me a little bit more, it gives me anxiety thinking about it, like when but I think it makes me also think about like being the photographer of, like, I've done some photography things recently with my job and doing events, and I absolutely hate it, because you have to have that like big scope picture, and I don't have that view. I am a close up. I want to see the details, because everything is in the details. So I think my reason why is the details, the little things. But it's always been for me. And it's interesting because like now, like now, as I'm coming back into it, I'm like, I wonder, do I want to change how I'm doing it or not? And so there's that question. Is like, do I want to? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of starting off more with me because, that's how it is. But it's like, there's a couple projects that I want to do that aren't just about me. And I'm like, do I want my focus to be, outside of me, so I can bring people in? Or is it better to show me so that they can experience what I've experienced with them? Like, I think I have, like, even with December Daily, and I think that's part of the reason why I probably have a harder time sometimes finishing December Daily, because I love Christmas. I don't care if anybody else does. I take pictures of what I think is important. I don't know if everybody else is going to care about that. It's very unlike how Allie does it or other people. And I absolutely love and get inspired by how they do it. But like, I know I'm doing it for me. I know I'm doing it as my creative outlet. And but like now, as I'm growing as a person, I just wonder, should I change it? And I don't know. And we're going to find out. It's like, I don't feel the need that I have to make that decision, you know, because it doesn't have to be one or the other either, you know. It's like there's no absolutes in scrapbooking. There is absolutely nothing, you know. We can change it. We can, I tell this to, like, my one friend Cheryl. She gets, like, super anxious about messing up with mixed media, and I'm like, you can always put white paint on it. You can always just get a new piece of paper. Like, if you mess it up, it's okay. Well, and I also tell her, if you're not sure about it, just keep going. Yeah. Because it's the process, and you just have to trust the process, and you're gonna end up with something beautiful. Or if it's not, you can just redo it. Like, it might be a pain. You might have to reprint the picture. You might have used that piece of paper that you absolutely love, and that's a pain in the butt, you know, because I've done that. I have done that.
Oh, we've all done it.
You know, we've all started something and been like, no, that's not what I meant to do. It's the joy of it. But anyway, okay, so next time we're going to talk more about our reasons why, and we're going to kind of talk about how it's changed, like, over the years. For sure, because I think that's really fun to, like, see how we've grown as a scrapbooker, as a person, within our scrapbooking, and what we've learned from it, and all that. I don't know. Yeah. So I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say about their reasons and how things have changed, because it's just fun seeing, you know, people grow and see, and especially with how collections have changed over the years, you know, like, I know for me, like, when I use the vintage stuff, it doesn't feel so much like me, even though it's pretty and I can be inspired by it. So it's like, when I've used those, I don't feel like it's as me. And so, like, I've steered away from it. And, like, a lot of the companies have put out stuff that is not as much like that. So it makes it really easy to kind of, like, find my way in it. But then it's like, I feel bad because there's so many people who have such a different style, and that's not how they scrapbook. And it must be so hard for them, you know, just like it's hard for me to use the themey stuff,
the more traditional,
you know, it's like, but anyway, so I'm excited to just keep doing this. So, once again, if you have, Megan, if you have some ideas of topics, everybody else, if you have ideas of topics, please put them in below, because I am going to be making a list so that we can kind of, for right now, I will say my hope is that we can do it about once a week, but I don't know if that's going to happen, and it's probably not always going to be this long. Because part of what I would like to have it be as something that we're not taking so much time, because I know our time is precious, and I know, like, I mean, we're excited tonight, so, like, I'm sure you're not feeling it as much, but it's 11:30 for you, and it's 10:30 for me, and I can feel my brain starting to die. It's not as bad as it could be, but so with that said, some weeks might be shorter, you know, we might have to skip weeks, but so as we get doing this, we can figure out a schedule. And all that stuff. But my hope is that we can do it every week. And maybe some weeks you could get on and do something with somebody else. If I can't do it, I could get on with somebody else. Totally. Like, we can do, like, play around with different things. I'd like to have some other scrapbookers. So if there's anybody who, you know, really, like, absolutely love this and would love to join us, please put, because what was it? It was Felicia one time. She came on with us. Do you remember that? Like, oh my God. I have such fond memories of the Crafty Maven Getaway and everybody. Actually, I was just, like, I was looking at something on YouTube. Oh, I know what it was. I was on my homepage and went to, like, go post something or something. And then I noticed that Helen, she used to be on our team. I don't know if you remember. She didn't do a lot of scrapbooking online, but she did something for our team for a while. And I want to say she lived in Australia, but I could be wrong. And it must have been that she got, you know how YouTube like unsubscribes people all the time. I know they do it. They've done it to me, like to other people I've subscribed to. But I noticed that she resubscribed, and I was like, oh my gosh, I miss it. You know, it's like, it's just realizing like the people that like we used to work with. Well, and one thing I was noticing is because I've been in the Crafty Maven Getaway group, and I haven't really been active in there for a couple of years because I just haven't been scrapbooking, and so I haven't been getting in there. And there was a couple of ladies so I'm going to be making sure I mention them in the group coming up. So if anybody is watching this, be sure to head over to the Crafty Maven. I think we need to give it some love. I'm not bringing back the Crafty Maven channel. I know when I first mentioned this series with you, I thought maybe we could put it on that channel. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to leave that channel the way it is. It's still active as in you could still watch everything on there. So there's a ton of content on there. So many different scrapbookers with different styles. Like I love watching Asa. I think that's how you say her name. Because she would always do the double layouts. Like that was always so fun. Like I have a hard time doing double layouts. I say that knowing I've done quite a few, and some of them are some of my favorites. But like my one for Get It Scrapped with the train, and I did circles with sequins because that's when I was on Speakle Mom Scraps, and so they are like shaker circles, and that was really fun. But anyway, so if anybody is interested in coming in and chatting with us, and if you have an idea, or we can figure out a topic that will work really well for it, because I really would love to get everybody who, you know, a lot of us, there's so many new people too, so that would be really fun to interact with some new people that we've not interacted with. It's like, I want this to be fun, and as much as I love Scrap Girls. So I hope this doesn't come across like rude or anything. But sometimes it feels a little stuffy. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's just because I changed over the years as I listened to it and felt a little sad that they switched how they did it. Because, you know, Tracy is both of them are such lovely ladies, and like, you know, it's fun seeing.
Are they still doing it?
I think so. I believe they're still doing it. I thought they stopped. I should look into that, but I think they are. Okay. I don't know how often they're doing it. I think they still have it through subscription, but I could be wrong about that. I know.
Because I thought
their group is very active still, which is amazing. It's amazing because it's so fun. I will say their group is fun because you get a whole different group of people, of scrapbookers. So it's fun because they talk a lot about the stuff that is on the episodes and stuff too. But I know Tiffany. I think she retired. So, and I thought I noticed that Tracy looked like she was working or something. So, well, now her daughter's all grown up. So interesting seeing everybody grow up over. I mean, it's been 10 years, so, but yeah, so it's like, I feel like their podcast felt a lot different. And I say that knowing I was on their podcast, and it was really fun being on their podcast. It was weird because I think we talked about double layouts on that episode. Really? I think so. I'll have to see if I can find it, if they still have the old ones up. I don't know if they do. If they do, I'll find it and post it. And I had a lot of fun, but Tracy she's very much like, she likes it perfect, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I get that. I am not that kind of person, so it was just kind of interesting because she was getting really mad because someone was mowing in the background at her house. And she was not happy about that.
That's funny.
But, so she takes it seriously, which is good because we need people like that. But just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the same tone as what we get on YouTube, which is a lot more laid back. And I mean, now, if Victoria ever did a podcast, like, I'd be all for that. I know she's doing all different stuff,
that would be awesome, but yeah. She's kind of stepped back, which is so sad. I miss her so much.
Well, I think our industry has changed so much. It's just changed so much that it's not... Well, and I was telling you this, Shamel, it's like somebody posted about American Crafts. I don't know anything about, like... I've been away for a few years, so I don't really know much. Sometimes I'll look and see when they have, like, the bigger collection bundles, you know, that start coming out, the different companies. I say that's not the wording, the correct wording, but that's what's coming out. So when in January used to be the CHA, which, what did they call it after that? I don't remember. But CHA, it's just always going to be CHA. Which, see, they don't even do that anymore, do they?
Yeah. I don't think so.
I think after the pandemic. I bet they stopped after the pandemic. That's probably what made them stop. But, like, American Crafts isn't scheduling, or they haven't announced that they're releasing anything yet. I'm sure they have stuff in the works, for sure. But it just seems like a lot of people are doing things different. And so some of the companies that were really big, which is kind of concerning, but not, because it does kind of give way for some of these smaller groups. Though Shamel did a big long post because she had to take some stuff down in her group, but she did a big post kind of just talking about, like, how over time, like, our industry gets more popular and then it gets less popular, and it's just like, it's just this, it's the cycle and circle of life, honestly.
Totally.
Right. But it's fun now because there are a lot more different companies that are doing different types of styles, which I think is important, because when we just have everything all the same, then it's kind of hard to be as inspired, in my opinion. And I say that knowing that I liked what was being produced and I was very inspired to use it. But there's just something about seeing something that I would never scrap and being inspired by that. There's this one lady in one of the groups, I don't remember which one, but she's been doing cutout titles and words like travel or beach and, like, some other stuff like that, and, like, so I'm pretty sure she's using her Cricut, and she like cuts out, and she has it in different layers, and she, like, uses the ink on it, and it is so detailed, and it is so amazing, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. How I would I wouldn't have the patience to do it. I actually gave my my silhouette away. I gave it away because I wasn't really using it that much the last couple of years anyway. Yeah. And then one of my friends wanted to start making cards, and I was like, you know what? I bet you she could use it more than I would. So I gave it to her because I was like, it's just sitting here.
It's a lot of work, I feel like.
So I think that's one of the things I'm not gonna be picking. I won't be picking up is doing die. I just didn't care for it as much. There were certain aspects that was fun about it, but it was a lot more hassle than it was.
It was.
Inspiring.
I haven't given up on it yet. I still have mine. It's in the closet.
And that's okay. Like, there's no, like, if you think you might use it, like, why give it, you know? It's like, I just seen a better need for it, and so.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, I'm gonna cut us off because you're getting tired. And you know me, I could just keep going, and I had coffee, so I probably still got a little ways before my brain actually shuts off. That doesn't mean I'm coherent, though, by the way. So I'm going to stop us. Thank you for joining me, Megan. Like I said, I am super excited about the series, and I think it's just going to be a blast. So just talk about lots of different things. And And anyway. Okay. So,
have a good night.
You too. And until next time, have a scrappy week.
Bye.